Well, hi, I'm sick, and I thought instead of avoiding the fact, I would just address it because vegans do still get sick. And I always feel so super ashamed that I get sick because I'm vegan and I'm exceptionally healthy and I try so fucking hard to take care of my health, and yet I still get sick. I get sick too much. And some people have even tried to blame that on my vegan diet, which is just genuinely unfair because I was raised on the standard American diet. It was meat at every meal and cheese at almost every meal, and it was Crisco and white flour and white sugar and some boiled vegetables and definitely 2 or 3 glasses of milk every day. It was just animal protein on top of refined carbohydrates and hydrogenated fats. And as a kid, I had really bad ear infections, and then I had strep throat and tonsillitis. It felt like it was just constant at that point. Anytime I would get sick, I would get a round of antibiotics, so it was just antibiotics on top of milk, on top of cheese, on top of Crisco, some more antibiotics, and mucus. And I guess maybe that kind of childhood or those childhood illnesses weren't uncommon or abnormal, but I think we've all established that normal does not equate to healthy. When I was 17, I think that was the first time I noticed that I was getting sick every 2 months, consistently. It would always start the same way, a sore throat that would turn into a runny nose, then a stuffed up nose, then a sinus infection, and I went through this 2-month cycle consistently for several years. Until I went vegan, and at that time I was eating a completely raw food diet, and I think I went over a year without getting sick. And after my stint on raw foods, I had a really just awful, traumatic year that took me to a very bad place and kind of jump-started my eating disorder again, worse than it had ever been. At which point I also moved back to a cold climate, and I think those two things just tanked my health in a big way. And it was at that point that I started getting sick at very regular intervals again. And it was always the same: sore throat, stuffy nose, sinus infection, and I would be wiped out for weeks. So after several years of eating a consistently healthy, whole food, plant-based diet, I finally gotten to a point where it's like I seem to be getting sick at 6-month intervals. And when I do get sick, it only lasts for maybe 2 or 3 days, and it's really not nearly as bad as it used to be. I'm fully functional today, I just have a slightly stuffed up nose. But still, even though in a lot of ways I'm a lot healthier than I used to be, I still have a weak point. My throat, my tonsils, this whole lymphatic area is just not as good as I wished it was. It's not as efficient at processing everything as well as I wish it was. And while I've seen huge improvements over the last few years, I've definitely lost that confidence that I'm going to be able to, through diet, be, just epically healthy all the time and have absolutely no health complaints ever. This is pretty good as far as I'm concerned. I would love to get this residual stuff to the point where my immune system is capable of handling it at all times and I no longer get sick. And yes, I have been consulting with doctors and stuff as far as is there something going on with my sinuses, because this is the only thing that I've gotten sick with in 7 years, is just this same consistent illness over and over and over again. And it always starts in my left sinus. I can always feel it, and that always triggers a sore throat, and then this whole thing happens. So I don't know what the fuck is going on over there, but hopefully we can figure it out. There are also several triggers for when I do get sick like this. The VOG is a big one, the volcanic smog that comes out of the volcano and then, gets stuck over various parts of the island sometimes. That's definitely an upper respiratory tract irritant. The other thing is that last week I was feeling super awesome, and I went running 4 days in a row. And by the 4th day, I wanted to get out there, I wanted to feel good, I wanted the endorphin rush. I wanted that sense of accomplishment for the day. Yeah, I went out, pounded out 3 miles, And on that last day too, I got out a little bit late and it was already hot as balls. And you know, live and learn. It's like it's been 6-7 months since the last time I was sick, so I was a little bit cocky and I was like, yeah, I can totally do it. But I did it. By the time I was done, I think things had already been set in motion. Add to that fact, I was just like a little bit dehydrated for a couple days, and boom, I get ill. So when I do get sick, I have a routine. I take some Chinese herbs that my acupuncturist gave me, and those seem to like dull it a little bit. There are also some homeopathic remedies that have been like marginally helpful, but it's mostly just all about rest. It's like, if I make myself rest, even if I start to feel better, I have to keep resting until it's totally done. Then I don't get bad at all, and it passes after a couple days. I also do, while I'm sick, start drinking apple cider vinegar, a couple tablespoons every few hours mixed into some juice or something, and that just helps to like keep your mucus thin so that it doesn't really get stuck in your nose and then trigger a sinus infection. I used to neti pot all the time. Who knows, maybe that's what like triggered this whole thing to happen. I used to think that doing a neti pot was an awesome idea, you know, to clean out your sinuses, but now that I look at it from like a natural health perspective, like your sinuses are not supposed to be cleaned out. There are not supposed to be random objects going up into your sinus. And to be perfectly honest, this sickness that I consistently get could have been triggered from when I was in my first yoga teacher training and they like had us put cloth up our noses and then pull it out of our mouths because it was shat karma and it was a cleansing practice and it was like totally good for you. It would get your sinuses cleaner than they've ever been. And I look back now and I'm just like, fuck, why did I even... That shit doesn't belong in your face. Foreign objects don't belong inside your face, okay? Okay, keep it out of your face. So anyway, a lot of people go vegan and they're like, I haven't been sick in 12 years. And I'm like, awesome. But those probably weren't the people that came to this lifestyle because they were already really ill or because their bodies were already quite degraded physically. But I am, unfortunately, one of those people that was already pretty physically degraded, and I already had some pretty major health problems, and my immune system was pretty much already shot to shit. So I'm in the position where it's like, sure, this is not as awesome as I wished it was, health-wise, but it's a whole lot better than it used to be, and I'm so happy in general with my lifestyle that, you know, I get sick every now and then. Happens. I'm not complaining. I'm certainly not blaming my diet because I've seen such huge health improvements through this lifestyle. It is what it is, but I just wanted to own up to that. I'm sick. I get sick. I think I feel a sneezing attack coming on, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna get back to this. Make sure when you're sick you stay warm, okay? Always warm. Always warm. And just FYI, I'm shooting this on my computer, not my camera, so the tattoo's on the other arm. It's not a fake tattoo. I don't draw it on every time and then forget which side.